Hi, Funlayo. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Maricel. It is a privilege to be here with you this afternoon.
I am super excited to chat, but why don't we start by you telling us your story in a nutshell? Tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do.
I'm Funlayo Alabi. Some people call me Fumi. I live in the wonderful state of Maryland, and I am a manufacturer of clean beauty products. We use shea butter, which is sourced from West Africa, as a foundation for all the products we make. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I just love to see women win. That is one of my missions in life, seeing women win.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like women uplifting other women is like the best trend out there. So, with Shea Radiance and throughout your career, you've achieved incredible things. You have so many different products or in a lot of different channels. But I'm curious if you had to define success in your own words, how would you describe it today?
Yes, yes. So when I first started out my business, not really realizing what I was getting myself into, because I really didn't come from the manufacturing world. I was in tech. I had my metrics for success as being a certain thing in terms of appearing in certain retail channels, hitting some revenue benchmarks quickly and doing certain things. And then I realized I was in a marathon and my definition of success had to change a little bit. Success for me is being able to celebrate small wins. Success for me is being plugged into community where I have mentors and I'm actively mentoring other people. And yeah, so success for me is now more of a community oriented definition. Just knowing that as I'm winning, I like to see other people around me winning. And as I begin to climb and reach my goals, I don't want to be there alone at the top of the mountain looking down by myself. I still want to be in community. I want girlfriends that I can go on vacations with because now we can afford it because we're all successful.
Yeah. I love that. It's like, a rising tide brings up all the boats. So, as we were going into the month of February, which is a month of a lot of love, and you and I have chatted a little bit more about self-love. So, I'm curious, what does that mean to you?
Self-love is actually it's rooted in really unselfishness, especially for us women, because a lot of the time we are pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. And so self-love really is investing in yourself, right? So that you have something to give. Because I think when women start pouring out of a deficit, it impacts our businesses, it impacts our
Mhm.
friendships, it impacts our families. But when we take the time to really invest in ourselves, and what does that investment look like? Sometimes it's not an expensive trip to a spa. Sometimes it's just really unplugging, taking a nap, going for a walk, having some of that good minus coffee, like shutting everything off,
Exactly.
having that minus coffee. Thank you for that frother. I can't wait to use it. Putting it in a nice teacup and just sitting quietly with yourself. And so for me, really, that is what self-care is. It's an investment of time to add to yourself so that you have something to give. Yeah.
That, yeah, I remember one time somebody told me that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your team, you can't take care of your community, you can't take care of the world. So it really starts with taking care of yourself. But something that you mentioned is also really important to figure out what are those things that work for you, right? Like you mentioned, like a nap or a walk. Do you have any other practices that have really transformed how you like fill in your own cup?
Yeah, for me, exercise is a huge part of it. And of course, my exercise routine has evolved with me and as I've gotten older. So I used to be a runner in my 40s and early 50s. I used to run with a group. I ran with a group of women, right?
Hmm.
I did like, I'm a community person. If I was to run by myself, I would probably peter out at 1 mile. But because I was running with a group, I was able to do half marathons and all that. Progressed in maturity and age. I'm leaning more into movement. So my way of caring for myself is I do yoga, I do hot yoga. I'm also in community because I do my workouts in a studio of more women and we support each other. So yeah, that's one of the ways that I care for myself. Just, taking care of this physical body so that it'll allow me to continue my mission.
Yeah, I feel like that took me a very long time to understand that exercise and movement was actually taking care of me. I think for a long time I thought I was doing it because I wanted to get fit or I'd like wanted to lose weight. And these days it's more like I don't feel good, so I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna work out, and
Yes,
it's gonna make me feel better. And it's like
absolutely.
changing that why you're exercising that has transformed it from a chore to a way of taking care of me.
Yeah, it's like medicine, really,
Yeah.
for your mind and then for your body.
Yeah. Another topic that we've discussed a little bit about is connection. So I'm wondering, how do you foster that connection both with yourself and with your community?
So I would say connection is something that I'm originally from Nigeria, from West Africa. I was born in the UK but raised in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, people are very comfortable existing in community. Relationships are very highly valued. And when I moved to the States as a teenager, I found that that wasn't so much of Western culture. People like to exist, everyone is their own person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for me, like kind of investing in people, investing in friendships is really important to me. And I would even say that even I'm not a very good networker. You know how they like, go out there, network, get business cards, and, that's how you make it in business. I have come to the conclusion that when I go out to social events, I just go making friends. And in the process of making friends, I've made some of the best connections, just building my community. I see someone I like, maybe I like their glasses, I like their pants, or I like something they say. I walk up to them, we start talking, and then the next thing they know the CEO of whatever, they do the introductions, and then I have more friends. And so just that organic building of community, being genuinely interested in people, their welfare, how they're feeling and doing, just automatically opens up some other doors, both in business and personally. I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers the question, but
That
that's
does, that does, because I think a lot of the times people are like, "Oh, I need to connect," like I want to connect with people, but and for some people it's very hard. For other for other people it's easier to connect. But I think when you go back to just like finding a common ground with other people, and it can just be to your point, like I love your pants, right? And it's like we have similar taste in something, and looking for those genuine connections. I personally think that one thing that makes work much easier is working with people that you really love and admire. So if you're looking for those connections as you're out there for your business, it also makes your day to day better.
absolutely. And I think when we're entrepreneurs, that whole synergy between personal relationships, I'm not talking like intimate personal relationships. It's like you can't separate how you feel about people from your business because you really, when you're in business for yourself, it's really important that you're connected with people that you feel some kind of affinity, that you feel like at least you can trust them, and that you like them. It's not like
Hmm.
the corporate world. You do have that choice.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a choice we take advantage of. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk. A lot of what I've been exploring lately is this like journey to a more balanced life, and it's a lot of what this new iteration of Minus looks like, right? Which is like we're looking at balanced energy and just like I want to enjoy my work and I want to enjoy my life. And I'm curious if throughout your journey, has there ever been a moment where you realized that your approach to work or your definition of success wasn't sustainable or wasn't working for you?
Yeah, I think in the very early years where I saw what I was trying to accomplish and I felt like it was really within reach. And because I felt it was so within reach, I was ignoring the things in front of me, maybe family events, maybe spending time with friends or doing things that seemed to be a distraction because I was really going after this thing. And then I realized like, wow, I still haven't caught the thing and I'm losing
Hmm.
some of the things that are valuable and you can't really put a price on them because you can't buy them. Relationships, family, your kids growing up, attending events, investing in people. And when I realized the thing I was grabbing for I wasn't going to get it as fast as I was chasing after it, I decided that I was going to change my approach, that I was going to prioritize relationships as best as I could and not completely tell myself like I'll get back to people once I've accomplished this. Because even when you accomplish it, there's then another thing and another thing and another thing. And before you know it, you're so far out and maybe you're super successful, but you've lost so much along the way to success. So those were the things I was learning as I
Hmm.
was growing and started course correcting for and making adjustments for.
That's an obvious classic San Francisco. And when you were doing that course correcting, were there specific shifts in maybe mindset or habits that helped you move from one place to another?
Yeah, I just kept thinking that just trying to assign value, right? That, how valuable is this that I'm grabbing for at the expense of this? Or can I do both? And if I do both, what do I have to let go of to make sure that this urgent business thing and this important family thing were being taken care of? So it was always in my mind. I knew that people are always more important. And even on the days I could not fulfill that priority I knew in my mind, I knew that because my mindset was already a certain way, I could always make adjustments when I
Hmm.
was going off course. So, because sometimes knowing the right thing is really important so that when you're going off, you can correct. But when you don't have that self-awareness, you don't even know that you're supposed to make adjustments. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Have you developed any sorts of non-negotiable boundaries now to like protect, those two areas?
I don't know if I've consciously developed non-negotiable barriers. I think my non-negotiables come with people. I don't work with toxic people. I don't work with people who are deliberately and consciously obnoxious and abusive towards others. It's just not a non-negotiable. Some people may be like that because they're growing and,
Hmm.
I'll give some grace. But I think the only area where I really have true boundaries is really around the type of people I allow into my life. Yeah.
It's like that, when I was young, they tell you that thing of like you're the average of the five people that you surround yourself with, and you're like, oh, they're so exaggerated. But the more that I grow up, the more I'm like, oh wait, I don't have that friend anymore. And like all of these behaviors have changed, whether it's like someone with a lot of like negative self-talk that it's like really, contagious, or you all of a sudden have friends who are very concerned about their health. So you're having this conversation, it encourages you. So like who you surround yourself with really has a huge impact on well-being. Along the same line, one of the things I'm trying to understand is this changes within our bodies. And I've wondered, as you've evolved in your career, in your life, have you noticed changes in how your body's supporting or maybe challenging some of those assumptions as we go through these transitions?
Absolutely. And I think that as women, in order for us to really take care of ourselves, we have to be aware of how our body is changing over time. Our
Mhm.
bodies change with the season, our bodies change with cycles, our bodies change with age. And I think one of the kindest things we can do is recognize these changes and make adjustments. Be comfortable with the fact that change is happening. Change is a good thing. I think one of the worst things we can do and where we end up abusing ourselves is, say, for example, my 50-something-year-old self is trying to do the same things my 30-year-old self did. And when you do that, you injure yourself.
Hmm.
And so part of the changes is even in what you eat, how you eat. When you start looking for things that support your immune system, that support your moods, like adaptogens, when you start discovering interesting coffees and teas, I think with age, I've become more curious about what else is out there. I'm noticing that my moods are this way. What else should I be looking into? And then realizing that, wow, there are options, there are brands like yours, Maricel, that have already kind of figured that out, and that for a lot of women, this is going to be a great solution to replacing the coffee crash with something that just tastes amazing, gives you the same feel, but is also giving you the protein your body needs. So
Yeah.
those are some of the internal adjustments that I'm definitely sensitive towards. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like a lot of the times, a lot of the products out there, a lot of the research are really focused on male bodies, and our bodies are different, like we work on cycles, and what your body needs from exercise, food, rest levels is very different depending on how you are on your cycles. I'm wondering, you said change is good, change is also hard. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on how to navigate that process with self-compassion.
Oh my goodness. I think you kind of know because I will say as an auntie, so as a Nigerian, I get to a certain age and I'm like, I'm an auntie. I embrace it and love it. I think that even with the innovation of products like Minus, that is one of the ways that I am kind of discerning that even the next generation of women is already creating solutions for us to compassionately take care of ourselves, right? Because I don't know the full backstory, but there was a need for a product like that that not only gives proteins, but can also help with the moods that you were solving for. which also goes back to that matter of self-care. And you might have thought that maybe you were creating it for you, but guess what? Women who are going through, maybe their cycles, who are feeling a little off, women who are going through perimenopause, all the way into menopause, need what you created. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that I get really excited about Minus is the ability to have these conversations around how our bodies are very different. I think, I recently froze my eggs and there was so much silence. Like the people who had done it before had done it like so quietly and so intimate, which is super respectable, but a lot of it came from feeling like it's not a conversation that we can have. So it's related to women's health, to hormone, to menopause, to transition. I'm curious, what would you like that conversation to look like at, at a societal level, in terms of humans' bodies?
I think that, more of the open conversations are so important, and having it in a multi-generational way, so that the young lady in her 20s is sitting in the same room as a woman who is 60 and 70, and we're having the conversations around what it's like to be on that end, right? So someone in their 20s can say, oh, this is what 70 looks like. I like that. I'm no longer afraid. To women in their childbearing age, talking about fertility issues, talking about, I want to have children in the future. I don't have a partner that I can have babies with. I want that option. So I am choosing to freeze my egg. Who else has done it? And what was your experience? Let's talk about what it's like when you're trying to conceive and you can't, and you have to go through IVF. And if you're from my part of Africa, people might say, you're not supposed to do IVF. It goes against, if God wanted you to have it. Having just those open discussions. And when I talk about multi-generational, I'm also talking about multicultural,
Yes.
because I don't subscribe to a strict Western view of looking at life. I think that those of us who came from different cultures have nuance in how we look at things. And when we even come together, those nuances and different worldviews, we need space for that, to have these discussions about what is going on in our lives as women and our bodies.
Yeah, I think multi-generational and multicultural is so important also because there is so much to learn around how like women who are, have gone through something that you're going through can give you advice. Like I personally think like if any of my experiences can save anybody some pain or stress, I want to. So I try to be as open as I can with our learnings. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the personal side, like you as a person. So I'm curious, the big question that I have is as a woman who's like running your own brand and working really hard to grow this, how do you also nurture those relationships, your community, your family, to make sure that you're investing in it as much as you want to?
It boils down to intentionality. So, I mean, I've shared a little bit about my journey, the fact that I got to see earlier on in my growth in building a brand that it was going to take a lot longer than I thought, and being intentional that, along the way, I had to incorporate certain things in my life. I have a very strong spiritual practice. I am a Christian. I'm engaged in my church community. I serve. I do service work within my community. I volunteer. So these are all things that are an integral part of my life. And while the business is important, all these things are things that I invest in because I know that that's what makes me who I am. So it's just really intentional.
Yeah, it's like the things around us, which was my next question. So outside of the entrepreneur, who are you and what brings you joy outside of work?
What brings me joy outside of work is my family. I work with my husband, and we love talking about new projects and doing all that. I love to travel. I do want to travel more. I love experiencing the world through food. So I'm one of those people that if I get a chance to go to Singapore right now just to go eat, if I have a friend to go with, my husband is a picky eater, so he's not always the best travel companion. I would want to go with someone who wants to explore those things. So who am I? I'm curious. I love to see the world. I love being engaged in different cultures and appreciating them. I love people. but I mostly love women.
Yeah.
I love to see women. When I say women win, it's like when a woman is stressed or going through a crisis, I feel it in my stomach for her. And it's like I want her to be at peace in herself and in her body. And so everything I do, even from just creating products, I always have that in mind that, when she opens this jar, I want her to feel like this jar was sealed with a kiss, and then she opens it and she puts it on her skin. I want the sensory experience to just feel amazing when they use our shower products. I want the lavender and mint to kind of take her away for 3 minutes, so that she can reset and then go face the world. So yeah, that's my mission. That's what I love. That's what makes
I
me happy.
love that. Yeah, because like even, for me when I'm like putting, creams in my face, it's like, yes, I don't want to get wrinkles but ultimately it's like it's what I'm doing for me, right? Just like putting things on your face, putting lotion on your body. It's like taking care of yourself in a way that's very physical and it's very intentional. That's why I think it's so amazing what you do and giving people so many different options on how to do that, whether it's like you're doing it on your body or you're doing it on your face or like even taking care of your hair, but it is another way of taking care of us, right? Because our bodies are
Absolutely.
our homes ultimately.
Yes.
Okay, what about if you could go back and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give them? Let's say 10 or 20 years ago, what would you say?
You can do it. You
Just
can do it.
believe.
When I was younger, I was so insecure. I thought everybody knew more than I did, was smarter than I was, and had certain things that I didn't have. I think to my younger self, if I could rephrase it from you can do it, it's you're enough. You are enough. Your perspective, your experience is the way you are designed, is the way you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be like anyone else. So whatever you put out there, as long as you've worked on it and you've created something of value, it's enough. You're enough. Yeah.
We don't have to constantly be striving and comparing ourselves with different, it's just like acceptance. It's a big
Yeah.
part of loving yourself too.
Run your own race. You're not in competition with anyone else. Even if you're selling the exact same things, there are things that there's a uniqueness to Maricel and what she's doing that would be attractive to me, and someone else could be doing the same thing, and for some reason it doesn't resonate. There's a way you speak, there's a way you are that speaks directly to your own customer base. And I think that even takes us all the way into branding.
Hmm.
Branding is really being able to tell your story and to reveal the authenticness behind what you're doing. And I think that always separates you from everyone else, even if it appears that they're doing the exact same thing. So yes, to my younger self, you're enough. Show up as yourself, put your thing out there, bring all of you into what you do, because there's no one, you cannot be duplicated. Yeah.
Yeah. And for me personally, besides the I am enough, it's like you're also not too much, It's like bringing your full self and your full authentic self. I think as women and like, strong women who want to do things, society constantly tells us we're too much or we're too loud or and it's like, no, you are enough and you are who you are and,
Exactly.
put it out in the world and you will find your people.
That's it. Even like the most obnoxious human beings find their people.
Yeah.
The most obnoxious men who are just reckless, ruthless, you don't even want to be in the same room with them. They are still able to create a tribe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know how you don't find your tribe? If you're like trying to morph yourself into something that you're not, then you're not gonna find your people.
Exactly. Exactly.
One of the main reasons that I'm doing this series of interviews is because I am curious about how high achieving women like yourself achieve balance, right? And can continue to do work and the things that they love. If you had to summarize what that means to you, what would you say?
So for me, that balance is really all about priority, right? So we are high achieving because we're labeled high achieving because we've accomplished certain things maybe in our businesses, but the balance really actually comes from prioritizing. And for me, my faith comes first. That gives me the balance and perspective, my family, and then my team, which is my business. I don't always get it right, but like I said earlier, I know what the priority needs to be, and I'm always self-correcting when I'm out of balance, because the world is always pulls you out of
Hmm.
balance, and then you have to know what your true north is, recalibrate to your true balance.
I
Yeah.
love that. Through prioritization of the things that are important helps you. stay
Yeah.
there. And hand in hand with that means building in a way that is sustainable. So how do you see your relationship with work evolving over the next, 5 to 10 years?
Just the work comes from, I always say, like community relationships. As we bring on more retail customers, a lot of really great doors are opening up for us this year. And the reason we're going to be able to be successful in these areas is because we are building community with our customers, potential customers. We're building relationships with buyers that goes beyond transaction. And then also relationships with our team, like everyone who works at Shea Radiance, we want them to have a sense of ownership that everything they do is important in helping us be who we say we are in the marketplace. So relationships continue to be a priority in terms of how we grow over the next couple of years.
We were saying before, right? It's like when you work with people that you like, you build these relationships, it's win-win, and it also makes it, we're here for a long
Moves you
time. So
forward.
it makes it
Yeah, for sure.
longevity. Amazing. Okay, to wrap up, I just have a few rapid fire questions. So just tell me what you think as I ask them.
Okay.
Are you a morning or a night person?
I know for some people it's black and white. I go to bed really late, like around 1 a.m., but I'm also able to get up at 7. So I don't know. What does that make me?
Well, I think it depends on your productivity. It's like I'm a solid afternoon person, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. prime time. I don't want to be up at 6 and I can't be up at 2. So I'm always like, it changes. What's your favorite book? Maybe you want to change your perspective.
My favorite book is The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee.
Some of Us by Heather McGhee.
Yes, and it's like life is not a zero-sum game, that we can all win. The pie is not limited. I don't have to win at the expense of someone else. We can all win together. The pie is big enough. Yep.
The pie is big enough. Yeah, there's enough room for all of us. What's one daily habit you swear by?
Prayer.
When you reset your button, when you feel overwhelmed, how does that look like? What's your reset button?
A nap.
A nap. Best investment you've made on yourself?
My goodness. Really, just my exercise investment. Honestly, it's so good for my mental health. I can't even look. Even if I was down to my last penny, I am going to pay for my gym membership and I'm going.
Love it. Love it. And for me, it's like, sometimes I do reward myself with a nice exercise set because I earned it if I've been going to the gym. Okay, and last one. Is there a mantra or a quote you live by?
You're enough.
You're enough. I love that. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I personally learned so much and it's been so, so wonderful.